Hi everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. If you're listening today, maybe your mind feels busy, maybe you're thinking too much about things that already happened, or things that haven't even happened yet, and if that's the case, you're in the right place, because today we're going to talk about overthinking in a very simple and honest way.
Hi everyone. I'm really happy you're here with us today, because overthinking is something most people struggle with, even if they don't talk about it. And sometimes it feels like your mind never stops, like it keeps replaying the same thoughts again and again, especially at night or when you're alone.
Yes, and what I want to say first is that overthinking doesn't mean there is something wrong with you. It usually means you care, you think deeply, and you want to do the right thing, but when thinking becomes too much, it can make you feel tired, stressed, and stuck.
I agree, and many people think overthinking means you are weak, but that's not true at all. It often means your brain is trying to protect you, trying to avoid mistakes, trying to control the future, even if it doesn't really help you feel better.
Exactly, and sometimes we overthink very small things, like a message we sent, a conversation we had, or a decision we made, and we start asking ourselves questions like, did I say the right thing? Or what if they misunderstood me? And these thoughts can follow us for hours or even days.
And the problem is not thinking itself, because thinking is normal and useful. The problem starts when we can't stop thinking, when the same thoughts come back again and again, and we don't find any solution, only more fear and more stress.
Yes, and overthinking often pulls us out of the present moment. Instead of enjoying what is happening now, we are stuck in the past, replaying old moments, or stuck in the future, imagining problems that may never happen.
I remember times when I was overthinking so much that I couldn't sleep. My body was tired, but my mind was still running, thinking about work, relationships, and things I couldn't change anymore. And that feeling can be really exhausting.
And what's important to understand is that overthinking doesn't bring clarity, it usually brings confusion, because when your mind is full, it's very hard to see things clearly or make calm decisions.
Yes, and sometimes overthinking makes simple situations feel very big and very heavy, and you start doubting yourself, your choices, and even your value, just because your mind keeps telling you negative stories.
That's why in this podcast, we want to talk about overthinking in a gentle way, not telling you to just stop thinking, because that's not realistic, but helping you understand why it happens and how you can slowly calm your mind.
And in the next part, we'll talk more about the moments when overthinking appears the most, like before sleeping, before making decisions, or when you're afraid of disappointing others, and how these patterns start in our daily life.
So if you're listening right now, take a slow breath. You don't need to fix everything today, you don't need to understand everything right now. Just listening and becoming aware is already a small step.
Exactly, you're not alone in this, and overthinking doesn't define who you are. It's just something you experience, and together, we'll explore how to deal with it in a calmer and kinder way.
In this part, I want to talk about when overthinking usually shows up the most, because for many people, it doesn't happen all the time, it comes in specific moments, like at night, when everything is quiet, or when something important is about to happen, and suddenly your mind feels louder than ever.
Yes, and I think nights are very difficult for overthinkers, because during the day you're busy, you're distracted, but at night, when you finally stop, your mind starts bringing back everything you didn't have time to think about, and it feels like all the thoughts arrive at the same time.
Exactly, and you lie in bed, your body wants to rest, but your mind keeps asking questions, thinking about the past, about what you should have said, what you should have done differently, or worrying about tomorrow, even if tomorrow is still far away.
And what's interesting is that overthinking often appears when we want control, when we want certainty, because thinking feels like doing something. It feels like if we think enough, we can prevent mistakes or bad situations.
Yes, and many people don't realize that overthinking is often connected to fear, fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of making the wrong decision, or fear of disappointing others, so the mind keeps working, trying to protect you.
I also noticed that overthinking is very strong after social situations, like after meeting someone, having a conversation, or expressing your opinion, and later you replay everything in your head, even if nothing bad really happened.
That's very true, and sometimes we overthink because we are too hard on ourselves. We expect ourselves to be perfect, to always say the right thing, to never make mistakes, and that pressure creates a lot of mental noise.
And the problem is that the more we overthink, the less we trust ourselves, because instead of listening to our intuition, we listen to fear, and fear is usually very loud and very convincing.
Yes, and overthinking also steals our energy, because it takes time and mental space, and at the end of the day, you feel tired even if you didn't do much, just because your mind was working nonstop.
I remember moments when I was overthinking a decision for days, and in the end, the decision itself was simple, but my mind made it complicated because I was trying to find the perfect answer instead of a good enough one.
And that's something very important to understand. There is rarely a perfect decision, most of the time there are many okay decisions, and overthinking makes us believe that one wrong choice will ruin everything, which is usually not true.
Another thing is that overthinking often disconnects us from our body. We stay in our heads so much that we forget to breathe deeply, to notice how we feel physically, and that can increase stress and anxiety.
Yes, and sometimes just slowing down, taking a deep breath, or bringing attention to the present moment can already reduce the noise in your mind, even if the thoughts don't disappear completely.
I think it's also important to say that stopping overthinking doesn't mean becoming careless or not thinking at all. It means learning when to think and when to let go, which is a skill we can all practice.
Exactly, and in the next part, we'll talk about very simple and realistic ways to calm an overthinking mind, small habits and small shifts that you can use in daily life, without pressure and without forcing yourself.
So if you're listening and you feel like this describes you, remember that change doesn't happen in one day, but every small moment of awareness helps, and you're already doing something good for yourself by listening.
In this last part, I want us to talk about what we can actually do when we notice that our mind is overthinking, not in a strict or aggressive way, but in a gentle and realistic way, because the goal is not to fight your thoughts, but to create a little space between you and them.
Yes, and one of the first things that really helped me was learning to notice my thoughts without immediately believing them, because not every thought is true, and not every thought deserves your energy, even if it feels very real in the moment.
That's such an important point, because overthinking often sounds very convincing. Your mind speaks with confidence, but that doesn't mean it's right, and sometimes just saying to yourself, "This is a thought, not a fact," can already calm things down.
Another thing that helped me was giving my mind a limit. Instead of letting it think all day, I would tell myself, I will think about this later, or I'll give this 5 minutes. And surprisingly, many problems feel smaller when you don't give them unlimited space.
Yes, and it's also helpful to bring your attention back to something physical, like your breath, your body, or what you can see and hear around you, because overthinking lives in the head, but calm often starts in the body.
I also learned that action is one of the best answers to overthinking, because thinking without action creates more fear, but even a very small action, like sending a message, writing one sentence, or taking one step, can break the cycle.
And sometimes the best action is rest, allowing yourself to stop analyzing, stop fixing, and just be, because your worth is not measured by how much you think or how much you worry.
I think it's also important to talk about self-compassion, because many overthinkers are very hard on themselves. They judge their thoughts, their emotions, and their reactions, which only creates more tension.
Yes, being kind to yourself doesn't mean you're weak, it means you understand that you're human, and humans think, worry, and feel deeply, and that's okay.
Yes, being kind to yourself doesn't mean you're weak. It means you understand that you're human, and humans think, worry, and feel deeply, and that's okay.
And when you start trusting yourself, overthinking slowly loses its power, because you don't need to control everything in advance, you know you can adapt, learn, and grow along the way.
I want to say something to anyone listening right now. If your mind feels tired, if you feel stuck in your thoughts, it doesn't mean you're failing. It means you care, and learning to calm your mind is a process, not a switch.
Exactly, and you don't need to stop overthinking forever. You just need to learn how to come back to yourself, again and again, with patience and kindness.
So maybe today, instead of trying to fix everything, you can choose one small thing, take one deep breath, do one simple action, or let one thought pass without following it.
And remember, peace doesn't come from having all the answers, it comes from accepting that some questions don't need an answer right now.
Thank you so much for listening with us today. We hope this conversation helped you feel a little lighter and a little less alone.
Take care of yourself, and remember, your thoughts don't control you, you are more than your thoughts.